Daniel, you got a story for the people. What is going on?
What is? Okay, so this is a very interesting story. So in America, we talk a lot about race in America, from so many different groups over so much time, so much genocide, so much slavery.
Since when? When?
What? When have we
America?
talked about it?
Race relations in America?
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying it's been an ongoing issue that we've had to continue to deal with. I just wanted to point out in this case, yeah, that's very surprising. I know. It took me for a second to get where you're going at. Now I got you. Okay. So anyway, back to my main point. It's really bad in Asia. And we were talking about a story a little bit before the show started, and everyone gave like every country in Asia as an answer, which was really, really quite fun. But no, in this case, it is ironic because it is coming from China specifically. I thought I'd bring this to everyone's attention. So in China, which of course is the epicenter of COVID, they're doing real racism against black people. So let's check this video out first, then I have an article to pair with it.
All right. 1 second.
Yeah, this is again,
actually leave that freeze frame right there for a second. So
sure.
I'll actually read it. Notice we've been informed that from now on, black people are not allowed to enter the restaurant for the sake of your health. Consciously notify the local police for medical isolation. Please understand the inconvenience caused. Police telephone number 110. So again, this is in China. Let's play that video.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
So this is happening all over China, and the problem from China's perspective is they've really been for like the last decade. And I've talked about this in the show. They're trying to flip Africa from being allied with America to ally with China, and this is just interfering heavily. And this, I'm going to read the article in a second, which goes into a lot more instances. I just wanted to have some visual thing that you could see how blatant this is. This is like black people can't sit here level. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit more. So Africa was supposed to be China's new stomping grounds. Instead, the novel coronavirus has spawned a growing backlash that threatens to unwind the ties Beijing has carefully cultivated over decades. The trigger for the burgeoning diplomatic crisis, anger over the treatment of African citizens living in China. And part of the reason they're doing that is China has very close economic ties that they've built with Africa. In a lot of ways, the way we look at China, the place that builds all our stuff, China looks at Africa as the place that builds all their stuff. So with that in mind, their frustration at the Beijing's position on granting debt relief to fight against the outbreak, China has spent untold billions in Africa since its emergence as a global power, investing its natural resources, underwriting massive infrastructure projects. We've talked about this. It's the new style of empire. The Romans would genocide your entire people and then replace it with their farmers, which are their retired soldiers, with a few of your people that survived. The British would go in with advanced weapons and cannons and ships and say, "You're going to do what we say, or we're going to kill you," with our Gatling guns or our well-rounded militias, let's say. And America will go in and say, "We're going to make this person that's one of your people, we're going to make them the king dictator, and then he's going to give us a good price on resources." Whereas China has been spending time going in a more diplomatic route and saying, in this case, we'll build your infrastructure. You just owe us your resources. You owe us a big loan that has a high interest rate. And this is all getting undermined. So the campaign has brought China friends and allies in multinational institutions such as the UN and the World Health Organization, undermining the West's once reliable lock on post-World World Order while fueling its economy back home. Wow. But that decades-long quest for influence in Africa was gravely challenged last week when a group of disgruntled African ambassadors in Beijing wrote to Foreign Affairs Minister Wang Xi to complain that citizens from Togo, Nigeria, and Benin living in Glasgow, I should know Chinese cities better, southern China, were evicted from their homes and made to undergo obligatory testing for COVID-19. I will remind everyone, COVID-19 did not start in Africa. certain in China. So in some cases, men were pulled out of their families and quarantined in hotels alone. The note seen by Politico said the incident, which caused widespread discontent within Africa and among the diaspora after video was posted on social media showing people of African descent being evicted from their homes. Again, we just showed people not being allowed into McDonald's. This is people literally being kicked out of their homes. It reminds me of how in America, landlords are kicking nurses out of their homes. Anyway, resulting in a rare diplomatic showdown between Chinese and African officials. It also broke long-standing tradition of Africa voicing its problems with China, the continent's biggest trade partner. Again, China's really trying to take Africa from the U.S., and they've been succeeding, and this is getting in the way. Behind closed doors, one incident, Nigeria's Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi, I'm not going to attempt the last name, I apologize, posted a video of himself summoning Chinese ambassador Zhao Pingwan to his office, where he expressed his displeasure about a Nigerian man being evicted from his home. While no one expects China to lose its place as Africa's biggest bilateral leader and trade partner, analysts and African diplomats say that there's a distinct possibility of lasting damage. Now, I thought this story was interesting for a number of different reasons. I think, first and foremost, I think it's fascinating that China, because there's a lot of racism in Asia, and like people to my top and to my side can probably go a little bit more. They've lived in Asia for periods of time, but this is a big deal, and China's in this spot where they're like, what are you gonna do? We were gonna let people be, and so like, yeah. What do you guys think?
Okay, so seeing this happen, I think it's like a big wake-up call, especially for everyone who tries to think like, well, the United States is bad. And don't get me wrong, we have a long, sad history of overthrowing democracies and replacing them with dictators. But, other superpowers are just as capable of committing horrible acts just like we are. China and Russia, yes, okay, they have their problems too. But I think with China right now, they're going to be given a huge wake-up call that, the way they treat people, especially foreign nationals, doesn't fly well, and it's not going to do them any favors. Now, again, they probably might not be losing all their contacts in Africa, but I guarantee there's going to be some African nations that are going to probably maybe want to break their trade deals or renegotiate or try and do something because they don't like how their foreign nationals, how their people are being treated in China when they're over there trying to do like joint trade deals and joint economic ventures. It's not going to fly well. And the thing is, even in some countries like China, Japan, and South Korea, they got a history of being basically, one group, one culture. And now more people are starting to move in. I mean, before COVID-19, I'm just going to speak on this example for Japan, slowly, okay, they're not just fully embracing all of it, but slowly the local governments there, the local government in Japan was embracing the idea of, removing restrictions on foreign nationals so they can apply and do more jobs so that they can be part of the growing economy, because there is a lowering birth rate in Japan. And now there are more foreign nationals in Japan than ever before. Now, again, because of COVID-19, probably things have changed yet again, but again, they're going to have to embrace it. They're going to have to be more open-minded because it's not going to sit well with a lot of people. And for a lot of people who are being abused and being kicked out of their homes or basically being denied entry into restaurants, it's going to cause some people to maybe rethink their relationship with China. John.
There's a lot of tiptoeing around what I think should just be said. China is an authoritarian government.
Yeah.
Like when you try and talk about this in any other format other than they're an authoritarian government, and they're going to do what they can to keep their power, hold their power. And at certain points, what they're going to do is they're going to promote xenophobia, just like, certain elements of our government are doing right now. They're going to do that to gain more power. And one of the things you can do is say a group of citizens or people on work visas from another country that's always been targeted for these kind of practices is, to treat them unfairly. And this is the problem right here. it's, you know, like, yeah, it might be here and be us, but if we can get at least 30, you know, out of 1,000 people to start believing that it's them right there, that's what, you know, what we're going to do. It's authoritarian stuff. And I don't know why, like, when we talk about Russia, you say like, oh, maybe we don't need to go to war with Russia. We always forget to leave out the fact that they're still an authoritarian government. When we talk about China and how they're becoming a superpower and they're doing great things for their country, and they've elevated, you know, millions and millions and millions and millions of people out of poverty. Those are great things. Yes, their quality of life is improving, but they're still an authoritarian government. And that's something that often gets overlooked when we talk about these things for whatever reason. And it's just, I don't know. That's like, while I was listening to all of this, I'm just like, well, yeah, they're authoritarians. And ultimately, Africa is in no place to bargain, and they know it. And so they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And it's something you should be frustrated about. It's something you should be angry about. And I don't know, like, do you want to stop buying Chinese goods?
Good luck
Like,
with
or
that.
what?
'Cause,
What can you do?
Mhm.
Power of
Right.
the pocket. That's about it, right?
I think
Right.
that that's the best summary for this.
Yeah.
Is what are you going to do? But
Yeah.
more condescendingly.
Yeah, and that's the issue. This is what happens when, you know, people don't step up and start taking control, because like China is an authoritarian government, Russia is an authoritarian government. Right now, the United States is an oligarchy, but at least we have the notion that this is still somewhat a republic. So at least we have somewhat of a chance to push back, but can't let that happen. Otherwise, then we become like them.